Honestly, I've never actually understood the point of the whole fuck around and find out movement, especially since most of the time these videos quite literally um, are all about seeing real life material consequences against vulnerable groups, right? Maybe a lot of the videos are by people of who are members of vulnerable groups, but at the same time I see way too many, people who should be in solidarity with, the victims who are in these sorts of videos, um express their disdain for, you know, members of said group instead of trying to, actually foster class consciousness, whether that be racialized class consciousness or economic class consciousness, etc. The reason why I've always been uncomfortable with these videos, even though, yeah, fine, I found some of them funny, because no, I did not vote for Trump or anything of that nature by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, I do not see any positives in the destruction of somebody's life. Right now, we are seeing ICE deportations, and I've seen fuck around and find out videos showing their disdain for, Latinos because they apparently voted for Trump. And yes, the data does say that um, a very slight majority of Latino men voted for Trump. But that's about it. But even at that, you know, let's remember, people who are undocumented cannot vote, and they did not vote for the most part. They cannot vote. They will not be allowed to vote ever, at least under this current system, right? They do not vote. And so you are targeting the wrong group of people when you do that shit. And even when it's working class white people, like, yes, I get it. We have a lot of racialized class warfare here in the US. But it is absurd to simply believe that, a white working class person losing their ability to make a living is, by any stretch of the imagination, supposed to be good for you as somebody who is a person of color, for instance, or you as somebody who is also white working class but a liberal or whatever. This does absolutely nothing. It is meaningless. It is literally just a gotcha moment, but you don't gain anything material. You don't gain anything in terms of, except maybe for like reputation, because yeah, people are fucking vindictive here in the US. Americans are fucking vindictive against each other. Like, that is the number one reason for why we can't get class solidarity here in the first place, because we are so fucking vindictive against each other that we would rather see each other suffer than uplift each other. That's the reality of the situation. Like, if we were in a position where we would have actual class solidarity, we wouldn't be in this fucking mess of a Trump administration. We wouldn't be in this fucking mess of being exploited, because all we care about are our own communities, maybe, and even that might be questionable, right? Because not every black person, it actually supports the interests of the black community as a whole. Not every Asian person supports the interests of the Asian community as a whole here in the US. That's just not the reality. And definitely not every white person actually supports the interests of the actual white community, right? They don't. If they did, then they wouldn't support these big ass corporations literally just exploiting people, exploiting the white working class, and just allowing them to suffer. That wouldn't be the case, right? The Asian community wouldn't just watch Chinese and Filipinos, get deported or, face hate crimes and say nothing about it, and maybe even gaslight their struggles sometimes because they think that other communities are more heavily impacted than their own communities. Right? Like, that shit does not make sense, but it's currently happening. It's been happening, actually. Even during the pandemic, I remember that, like, there's this Stop Asian Hate movement, but, like, people across the board were gaslighting. People across the board, even Asian Americans, were gaslighting the fuck out of Chinese and Filipino and other Asian Americans who were literally facing attacks. And they wouldn't say anything in support of them. There was a little bit of activism by, like Asian American interest groups, right? But that was about it. They weren't saying shit otherwise. And that's because, the philosophy of fuck around and find out is based on the premise that, if you're not in the interests, in the perceived interests of the actual people, you deserve to find out because you fucked around. When in reality, people fucking grow and change. Remember that. People often have winding ass paths to liberation. They will not always get it right. And if you refuse to allow people to grow, then what the fuck is all of this meant for? Like, we will never get liberation without solidarity. And we will never get to solidarity if we simply have, content creators talking about fuck around and find out. As if that type of gotcha bullshit is actually going to get us to liberation on a global scale, on a national scale, on a local scale. That's just not the reality, Like, I'm just sick of seeing this type of bullshit. And then we just react, we're just like, oh, well, I didn't support, I didn't vote for this, or I didn't vote for that, or I didn't want this to happen, or I didn't want that bullshit to happen. Bitch, you literally made a fucking video saying fuck around and find out. You cannot tell me that you're empathetic if you made videos about fuck around and find out. You cannot tell me that your ass actually cares when you made videos about fuck around and find out. When you supported videos about fuck around and find out. You cannot tell me anything about class solidarity. You cannot even tell me anything about having solidarity with whatever group you're a part of either. Because when I see those types of videos, I'm seeing people literally segregating themselves and telling themselves that it's okay to, make fun of somebody else. And to me, it's like, okay, we will never be in solidarity with each other. Why the fuck would I want to be in solidarity with somebody who cannot see class consciousness as a priority? Who cannot see racialized class consciousness, economic class consciousness on the basis of other factors like gender and sexuality? How the fuck am I going to ever be in solidarity with you? I cannot. I have my own communities to worry about, but at the same time, I also do not owe anyone solidarity if they do not see me as human, if they do not see other people as fucking human beings. That's just the reality of the situation here. It's like, we can be as reactionary as we want, and we can say that we're part of this and that protest, but until we get out of this mentality that encourages us to fight each other, we're never going to have solidarity. And solidarity is literally the way out of all of this bullshit, the way out of this system that we've currently had built to keep us caged in and to keep ourselves, separate from each other, and also to keep ourselves forever, bearing the burden of this American imperialist state. So no, stop fucking around and find out. Stop making videos about fuck around and find out, and get some fucking class solidarity. I swear. Thanks for watching. Take care.